Live now. Okay, send me a comment.
Okay, I don't see you. There
Okay,
we
you
go.
will.
I do comment.
What are you? Oh, there it is. Okay. Go live with Professor. Okay, and I'm going to turn off these comments. There's already 29,000 people on.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, we'll hang up. We'll hang up the phone. What's up, brother? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
There we go. Yes, we got this, man. Um,
Good to see you.
it's good to see you. It's not we haven't talked 50 times a day. So, listen, everyone. I want to. You know what? I'm going to turn these off just so I love you guys. I'll look at comments later and we'll talk about it. So Instagram, you guys are the best and really one of the most powerful forces in the world. And I don't really do these, but Professor Sinan Aral is not only one of my dearest friends and a great mentor of mine, someone who's very dear to me, but someone who is very dear to a lot of people and is an amazing professor at MIT and has written a book called The Hype Machine, which is basically taking the doom and gloom, right, Sinan, out of social media and what it's doing to our lives, and it really creates a better understanding, but the rigorous scientific process, which is what I think we all need right now, because my household included, Nick and I talk about this all the time, that there's just so much media and there's so much social media. And Sinan, you talk about in your book that fake news, that news that's not real, travels faster, farther, and wider than news that's real. And what that's doing to society, here, I'll turn these back on so you guys can start talking to us. And so obviously, the book opens by revealing new data about social media's role in the 2014 NXA. Do you want to go into that?
Well, I mean, for me, I think just one thing that happened to me very recently is that I saw the documentary The Social Dilemma
Yep,
on
which is what we're all
Netflix,
talking about now.
which, by the way, a lot of my friends are in that documentary, and I thought it was fantastic. It's a great movie that sort of describes some of the dangers that we face in terms of social media. But, uh, I have written this book, The Hype Machine, which is really a description of 20 years of research that I've done and 4 years of writing. And in fact, they cite my research in the Social Dilemma documentary. And, when Tristan talks about exactly that result that
Right.
you said about how the truth travels 6 times faster, that false news travels 6 times faster than the truth. That's actually a study, a 10-year study on Twitter that we published in Science Magazine, on the cover of Science Magazine, and
Wow.
they cite it in that documentary. But the point of the book is very simple. So the point of the book is that we had 10 years of kumbaya, techno-utopianism about technology and social media, where it was going to connect the world and provide life-saving health information and provide free speech and economic opportunity and so on to the
Right.
world. And that was followed by 10 years of social media bashing about
Right.
how it destroys democracy. And the point of the book is, what do we do now?
Right.
How can we fix the problems that it's obviously causing?
Right.
And that's the point of the book. And it's 20 years. And really, really, the purpose of it is to get under the hood with science. The point is to use science to really understand how it's affecting society and how we all use social media every day. You have a daughter, I have a son. We're concerned about the impact on our brain. We're concerned about the impact on democracy, but we also see all of the amazing positive benefits of social media for the world.
Right.
And the point of the book is, how do we achieve the promise that we know it can achieve and avoid the
The
peril
perils.
that we know that it can cause?
So
That's
you
the point of
mentioned,
the book.
so you mentioned this thing just now that we had. So just for everyone listening, and it, by the way, the demographic you're talking about 13 to 65. You know what I mean? So it's a very wide range of people. What? So you just mentioned this thing that we had 10 years of like kumbaya, hand holding, messages from these big tech companies saying social media is going to bridge the entire, is going to bring us all together in this like utopian way. And we had 10 years of that. And now we've had 10 years of ultimately kind of backlash where this information machine has become sort of like our brains, really chaotic. So if you mention to understand the highlights and the beauty of what social media is, but avoid the perils. In the book, again, we just talked about this. This is not doom and gloom. This is good news. This is a positive understanding from your 20 years of research, 4 years of writing, how the human brain works. Can you touch a little bit on, because I know that it's not that, I know your schedule is super tight, but I think that what people also to understand is that we go into this sort of mental, we have these chemical reactions in our brain that make us feel a certain way. Now, scientists, scientists like you guys understand that there is neuroscience behind social media. This is not just a state of mind, that there is a neuroscientific reality to this. So what happens when you go on Instagram or Facebook and you get a like? What happens to your brain?
Yeah, so there's a chapter in the book called Your Brain on Social Media.
This is one of my favorite
all
chapters.
About the science. Yeah, it was eye-opening for me. It's all about the science of what happens inside our brain while we're using Instagram and Facebook. And it's so important that all of us who use social media to really understand that.
Right.
And so what happens when you use social media is that it activates the dopamine reward system in your brain. So when you get a like or a comment or a share, it gives you social feedback, which you love and crave. And so it engages you. It makes you want to come back for more. And in fact, our brains evolved over hundreds of thousands, millions of years to process social signals. And now we invented a technology that delivers those social signals
like
in
that.
the trillions in an instant every day. So it's like tossing a lit match into a pool of gasoline, because we are built to process social signals, and then social media is built for our brains. And so I describe all of that in the book. But you mentioned that it's not doom and gloom. So don't forget all of the amazing things that social media can do. Think about it this way. The Ice Bucket Challenge raised $250 million for ALS research in 2 months.
Wow.
When Nepal had the greatest earthquake that it's seen in 100 years, Europe donated $3 million to relief efforts. The U.S. donated $10 million. Facebook spun up a Donate Now button and raised $15.5 million, more than the U.S. and Europe combined, from 770,000 people in 175 countries. That is serious mobilization potential. It supports social movements like the Arab Spring or the Snow Revolution in Russia. We see the Black Lives Matter movement in the United States. It creates $370 billion of economic value, consumer surplus, every year in just the United States for small and medium-sized businesses, but also individuals. In some countries, Facebook is the internet, like in the Philippines or elsewhere. So it creates a ton of value. But it also creates a conduit for a lot of potential misinformation or disruption of democracy. So the book is about how do we achieve all the good things and avoid all the bad things, how do we learn what it does to our brains and how we can be resilient and prosper from the technology?